Welcome to Greenable Woodbridge. I am your host, Caroline Ehrlich, and today we are going to have a very interesting show because I have two top gentlemen from a global company which is located here locally, BASF. So with us today we have Dirk Demuth, who is the Senior Vice President of the Global Catalysis Research and Development at BASF, and Joe Jones, who is the Global Communications Director of all global, around the world, of BASF. So I think the best place to start is probably to talk about what is catalysis and a little bit about what BASF does, where you're located in town, and how many employees you have, just a little background so everybody understands.
Sure, I'll start. So thanks for inviting us today, first of all. We appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about our business.
I'm thrilled that you came. I don't usually get such high-level people to come on Greenable Woodbridge, so I really appreciate it.
So as you said, we're based here in town. We're actually in the Island section of Woodbridge, and that serves as the global headquarters for BASF's Catalyst division. And so we're located essentially across from Metro Park, so your viewers may have recognized that. We have some pretty prominent signage on the side of the building. And at that location, we have our global headquarters for Catalyst business, which has presence all around the world. We have 40 locations where we produce catalysts and other products around the world. We have more than 5,000 employees. And the headquarters location for many years has been here in Woodbridge. And locally, we have approximately 550 employees that work in town. About half of those are at the office environment in the headquarters, which is on Middlesex Essex Turnpike. And about half are at the R&D Center, which Dirk oversees, which is also located on that same campus. So fairly big presence there, and maybe I'll let Dirk talk a little bit about what catalysis is and how the research group operates.
That would be terrific.
Yes, catalysis, a very difficult word for most of the people. What does it mean? Catalysis is basically a material which directs a chemical reaction to the desired path to make it more favorable to the preferred outcome. And it's used around all of the chemical industry in the world. So most of the chemical plants around the world use catalysts to make their processes more efficient, to make them more sustainable. But there are also other applications we all know at home. It's like used in the car to make the car exhaust cleaner. We use it to make all our fuels, and I come back to that later a little bit. So this is a very important material for all of our lives. And these things are developed here in town.
Right. This is fantastic because, with Greenable Woodbridge, one of the things that we've done is talked about the 12 pillars of sustainability. And one of those pillars is pollution prevention. So you really are the people who have invented and continue to do research and development for that essence of what that pollution prevention is. And it's just, to have you here in Woodbridge is, we just feel that it's a perfect fit because, we are such a sustainable town. So, so how long has this division of BASF been headquartered here in Islin?
Well, the history of the Catalyst division actually extends back to a point in time when Engelhard Corporation was based here in town. And Engelhard has a 100-year history, more than a 100-year history in New Jersey. It was founded at really the start of the last century, in the early 1900s, around precious metal mining and fabrication. And over the years, it expanded into chemical manufacturing and catalysts, as Dirk spoke of, and eventually grew into a Fortune 500 company based right in Islin. And in 2006, BASF acquired Engelhard. Now, BASF is a German company. It's the world's leading chemical producer, manufacturer, the largest chemical company in the world. And they also have a rich history of chemistry, obviously, but catalysis. And by putting the two companies together, it made for a global leader.
Match.
And so we formed the local presence in the Islin area in the early 1970s. So this is still in the Engelhard era. And Engelhard decided to consolidate when they became a listed company, a New York Stock Exchange listed company. They established their headquarters in town. Interestingly, it was Menlo Park at the time, and then I think over time that was annexed into Woodbridge and became part of the Islin area. But we've been there, based there as our predecessor company since the early 1970s, so about 45 years now.
Right.
And then since 2006, when the acquisition occurred, it served as the global headquarters for the catalyst business, which again, as I mentioned, truly has arms everywhere in the world for what we do. And so, and a very strong R&D center, which Dirk can speak to, is also headquartered there, which was built in the early 1970s.
Yeah, maybe coming back a little to BASF. So BASF is a global company. We have roughly 120,000 employees around the world, 80 billion of sales close. In the US, almost 18,000 employees, 20 billion of sales.
Huge.
And we, in the Catalyst division, we're roughly 5,000
5,000 employees around the world.
Headquartered from here. And BASF, as the chemical company, old term, new one is we create chemistry for a sustainable future. We have almost 11,000 people working in research and development around the world. In the Catalysis division, roughly 1,100 supporting that business. In here, roughly, we have 300 people based here in the center of the catalyst development world.
That's incredible.
And doing all the topics around the world, everything from where we started
and
with ammonia
right
synthesis.
Here in and from when the mayor and I visited your headquarters, your catalyst headquarters here in town, one of the things that we did learn was you kind of had a corporate debate about whether you wanted to stay here and invest here, and because your lab and where you do your research and development, I guess you can go into it about how old it is, but old but still creating,
right?
But or to move someplace else, and we are just so grateful that you decided to stay here in Islin and keep all the jobs here and keep the research going.
Well, there's a rich history here, and I think New Jersey has, and particularly this area, has a lot of benefits from an employer standpoint.
Right.
Also from, and Dirk can speak to this more on the technology side, but from the skill set you get, the strong university base. Being a global company, it's important that we're in close proximity to a very efficient international airport. And so for all those reasons, but mainly about the people. You know, some of our people, we just had an anniversary event a couple of weeks back, and we've had a number of people who've been here 40 and 45 years and have evolved with the company. So the talent base is really strong, and as a research and innovation-based company, and maybe Dirk could speak to this, I think it's really important to maintain the knowledge you have and to build on that, and this is just a great place to be for those type of needs from a business.
Yeah, I mean, go back in time, Thomas Edison was here.
All right.
So a huge inventor for all of us. From the catalysis point of view, we track into a huge talent base here in the greater New York City area.
Right.
In the Metro Park area, we can, to the south, the people live, up to the New York City area. It's convenient for everyone to come to. We have connections with the airports. In the industry, heritage here is a lot of pharmaceutical, refining industry, similar talent pools we can use and employ, and we build a very proud team where we develop a lot of good things for all of us.
And from what I understand, you're always looking for people who are educated and talented in this field. So for our young students in high school, if they might have an interest, what should they be studying?
Our most favorite career development is, I would say, chemical engineering. So you have relationships to engineering topics and some chemistry backgrounds.
Right.
Then, of course, to young people, what I always tell you, have to be good in IT topics as well, good in English, good in communication.
Right.
And you need to show the ability to lead people. With that, you have pretty good chance on the job market.
That is
so
great.
If you can show that. We have right now on the research side, North America must have 50 job openings right now.
Wow.
We're looking for in Islin and other locations in the US. So very interesting jobs where you qualify yourselves for the future, and where you also, and it's most important for myself as well, where you as a person can leave a footprint with your job you do because of the impact our work has for all those 7.5 billion people on the planet.
That's for sure. So one of the things that just fascinated. You know, you were kind enough to give the mayor and me a tour of your facility. And I could not get over your emphasis on sustainability and the environment and, you know, your mission statement, which I don't want to mess up, so I'm going to let you say what that is, because it's just so perfect, and how you rank what you do and everything. And I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I think what's fundamental to BASF's mission, and you referenced it, is we've defined our purpose as a business with a simple statement that all of our employees around the world know quite well, which is we create chemistry for a sustainable future. So sustainability is defined by our purpose as a business. I think a lot of what we do locally directly supports that, and some of the things we'll talk about with clean air and energy efficiency, it's very much the centerpiece of what we do. So it's very important for us as a business, but I think when you look at the dynamics of the evolving planet, there's 7 billion people on the Earth right now, and that will grow to about 9 billion by 2050, and there's a number of challenges that raises. Feeding these people, maintaining clean water for the world population, making mobility as clean as possible in terms of air quality. And these are challenges that we see chemistry being a key enabler to. It's not going to solve all those problems, but it can play a key role in advancing solutions. And that's really what our corporate mission is about. And locally, we play directly into that with a number of the things that we're doing right here in Islin in terms of development, managing sales and the outreach globally, but primarily around coming up with new solutions and leveraging innovation. And this is core to what Dirk's working on every day, to come up with solutions in conjunction with partners and stakeholders that can solve these types of problems.
I'd love to hear more about some of these solutions and the products you have here.
Whenever you want, we can dip into it. So the purpose is chemistry. What's the purpose of chemistry? We all need chemistry in our daily lives. We are all chemistry to move this forward, but to direct it in ways that it's really helping to create this chemistry for our future, to use the full benefits of it. And there I brought a couple of displays of what was developed here in the labs in New Jersey for the world.
So what have we got here?
So what we have here, I brought 3 examples, and the most prominent one is in the middle. I take this out here, this little baby. So this is actually one of the first catalytic converters ever made that was developed in the labs here. This goes back to the end of the 60s, 1968 to the 70s. That was the first idea, how can we clean up car exhaust? And this basically enabled the California Clean Air Act. And just imagine the old pictures you know from Hollywood, from San Francisco, or George Washington Bridge in New York City, all covered in smog. And look at it now.
Totally clean.
Very clean. So this takes care of roughly 98% of the emissions of the cars. This was developed here.
And this
got the National Medal of Technology.
I don't want my viewers to miss that. This was invented and developed here in Islin. So this is big.
In Islin and in Union. This is where we test these things. And that was the base for the business. So almost 50 years old, so we call it a piece of history. It's something very important for all of us. So the exhaust gas from the car come in here, and here's the catalyst, does its magic, and converts the emissions into nitrogen, water, and CO2.
And this catalyst is also used in industry?
This is also applications for stationary power plants, for example. Similar technologies are used. But I think the key thing here is, and this is where the most emission comes from, is the mobile emissions from the cars. We all like mobility. Everybody wants to be mobile in this world. In the developed countries, North America, same in Asia, it's coming, where there's a huge growth in the needs. And roughly 100 million cars per year are made and built, and they're all equipped with this technology, which has a base here. Technology has advanced as the cars have advanced, but this is the base, and we continue to develop that here in Islin, in New Jersey, in Germany, as well as in Asia.
And really the technology and the innovation that was developed locally, it's so important that it's one of the facts that we like to tout is the fact that 1 billion tons, if you think about that, 1 billion tons of pollutants have been eliminated from entering the atmosphere as a result of this device and subsequent generations of this device around the world. So you can imagine what the air quality would be if we didn't have this, which was invented by Engelhard and now continues to be refined and developed by BASF.
Just go to Beijing and Shanghai now.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what it was, and we wouldn't like that.
And this really enabled, Dirk mentioned the Clean Air Act, but there's continual tightening of regulations for clean air emissions around the world every year. So it's not that we invented this in the late 60s and put it in the 1975 model cars forward by law, but it continues to evolve every year and it moves in different directions, which we can talk about as well. But it's really made a huge social impact and air quality and social importance for people everywhere in the world where they have these regulations, and they continue to get tighter. And in places like China and India and emerging markets, they're just now getting into a place where we were some years ago. So there's a future ahead to really make the impact.
Before we went on air, Dirk and I were having a little conversation about China moving toward the world of regulation and enforcement. I don't know if you want to repeat some of that, because it was really fascinating.
I mean, you could say this technology was enabled by regulations.
Right.
If those regulations wouldn't come in place in the beginning of 70s, the question is what would have happened.
Right.
But you see more and more of a movement, like for example in China, looking at the pictures of Shanghai and Beijing, you know that the educated society is demanding solutions. And the government is struggling, should we implement stricter regulations? And more important, should we enforce those? In the moment that happens, there are huge opportunities out there for all of us.
Right.
The market is a little ahead of the regulations, so you see that already, that the market demands cleaner technologies, but you also need to have the clean fuels around that, so to enable those technologies.
Right.
So it's really coming, and the society gets more and more, what's the right word, adult, more educated. They really want to enjoy life.
Right.
They don't want to run with all those face masks and whatever.
Yes,
but they also want the mobility, right? Everybody wants to move. Everybody wants the newest parcels delivered by Amazon or whatever.
And you're finding the solution so that you can have both.
We try to help with that.
Right.
While the first solution to sustainability is always the avoidance of waste, and then you need to take care of this, of the pollutions, and this is where this comes into place. But I have another example here with you. This is feed from a refinery where you make fuels from. So this is basically modified crude oil.
Right.
And without oil, we couldn't use the cars. We wouldn't need the mobile emission catalyst, right? This is also what's developed here in Israel. So I have this over here. So this is what is called as a catalyst. Looks like sand, right? It flows nicely. This is used in the refineries around the world. Developed here in Israel, the beginning of the 70s. And this helps to convert this yucky black-brown stuff, which we call black gold. This oil, basically. This and this in a refinery makes fuel, gasoline and diesel.
Interesting.
And with the products developed here in Israel, roughly 40% of the fuel consumed in North America is made. So 40%.
Wow.
Those fuel goes into the cars and is cleaned up with these technologies. So this is clean mobility enabled by BASF. So it's a huge impact we have here. So everybody should like to work there. And
we are very proud of you. Oh my gosh.
Delivering this huge impact.
Oh my gosh.
And from a sustainability angle, what this also does is it allows the oil refiners, the people who are taking this type of raw ingredient and combining it with our catalyst and outputting it for gasoline and diesel in a much more efficient manner. So they get the most output from the world's limited input, raw material, which obviously oil is, as we say, black gold. It's a limited resource, and we can optimize the use of that resource for the good of mobility. So it's another key play where we talked about clean air and emissions. This is really production efficiency and maximizing the world's limited resources. Again, technology invented here.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's got to be gratifying, so gratifying working for a company where you're developing ideas where you really know you're making a huge difference.
Because I know you deliver a huge impact.
Yeah.
More and more of the new people we see coming in, and I'm more on the office side of the house as opposed to the research, but really they gravitate toward not just the job and the salary, but the mission.
Right.
Because we're playing a vital role in something bigger than all of us in terms of society, and there's certainly an economic impact to sustainability.
Right.
Sustainability can be defined in many different ways. For us, we define it pretty clearly as the three components. One is economic. So as a business, we found that focusing your business opportunities around sustainable choices and sustainable development pays off over time, and you can actually have a better performance financially than some of your peers because you're playing into a direct global need. So that's one aspect. The second is societal. So we're supporting society. We're very involved, and Dirk has played a big role in sort of science education topics. And that's one aspect of societal, but also safety, having optimal safety in our performance and our production sites, disaster support, being good corporate citizens, and being part of the community as we're doing today. So that's why we're so happy to be here, is because we like to be visible and to really tout what we do because we're proud of what we do.
We're going to make sure you do more of that here in Woodbridge.
Can you imagine what happens when you take this to schools? When you talk to the kids at school and they give them examples, they're totally excited.
And the third aspect is environmental, which we talked a bit about. So, I mean, each of those three things play into what we do. It plays into the We Create Chemistry for a Sustainable Future mission we've talked about as a business, but it also is a big draw for people who want to be part of that work environment and to be part of that mission.
And I find so many of the younger people now who are entering the workforce, thankfully, are very mission directed. They just don't want to be earning a paycheck. They want to have an impact. They want to make a difference. And that's what your company does.
And you can see the results. You can see the results every day where we work.
What is this?
This one, just give it to me. So, this probably almost everyone has at home too. So we brought three examples. So this is a water filter. So it's purifying your drinking water. This is used under the faucet. You have them maybe also in your fridges when you have water dispensers. So you have those cartridges you have to buy once a year, every 6 months, depending on what type you have. And BASF, we invented the material, or most of the material, which is inside. So we're not selling these as a final product. But we came up with the materials inside. They take, for example, the lead out of the drinking water to make the water better for you to consume. So everybody uses these BASF products at home. Also technology developed here in Israel. So 3 examples.
Great examples.
The water we drink, the air we breathe, and the energy we use in our cars to drive around. All you can trace back to the work we do.
And chemistry, the unifying factor in each of these is chemistry is the enabler. So we're not producing the cars. We're producing the chemistry inside the catalytic converter that cleans the air. We're not producing the fuel and the oil, but we're putting the catalyst together with the raw material to drive that output. And we're not selling the filter, but we're selling the chemistry and the technology and the absorbent inside that makes it effective. And these are examples of things all invented here in town.
That's terrific. And what's in the pipeline? What kind of research and development are you doing now?
Of course, top secret.
Okay, then we might as well get up and go.
But few things. If you think in the context of those materials, catalytic converter, we all know we all want to have better cars moving forward, more energy efficient cars, and so on. So here in the pipeline, we have 2 things. For example, diesel cars you see around the world more and more. So we need to come up with technologies to clean up the diesel exhaust, which is a little different from the gasoline exhaust cars. So we develop key technologies there, which is hitting the market right now. We work on electromobility on the other side, new battery materials. We are establishing a big business there right now as we speak. So to move into this. So this mobility, oil will went through a peak. It's getting less right now. Oil is a little cheaper because of the shale gas we have. We all benefit from it, or we might need to think about that. I have another comment there to make. But you also find more and more heavy oil in the world, which is called, and this is what you see here in the camera, it's not moving.
Right.
It's like almost the bitumen you put on the street.
Yep.
So we can treat this too. So we work also on catalysts to convert this stuff into usable fuels. This is right now a lot of development work which is going on. And then on the clean water, there's something we all know about the Fukushima disaster in Japan a few years ago. So we modified our water absorbent solutions to help with the radioactive cleanup in Fukushima. But this is right now in there in testing. It's showing good performance.
That is
so
great.
there are huge impacts of the work you do.
Terrific.
So these are a few samples. What's cooking?
What's cooking? Well, we have a couple of minutes left. So how would you like to wrap it up? Give us some words for the future.
Yeah. So from my side, I would just like to say, and you referenced this earlier, but we're really proud of the work we do, and we're proud to be doing it here in Woodbridge and in Islin in particular. I think we're a growing business, partially driven by what's already in the pipeline, but things that are coming. We see a future ahead with strong future growth projections, and part of that is regulation driven because it continues to get more stringent. But we would expect to be part of the Woodbridge community for many years to come. We want to be a very good corporate citizen. I think we have been, and we want to continue that.
Absolutely.
And we're always looking, I think Dirk referenced, because we're a growing business, in new talent. And so for people who may be interested in this as a type of career, whether it's through the research and the scientific side, the chemistry, chemical engineering was mentioned as one of the key skills that we're looking for. We also have a corporate headquarters environment where all of the traditional, let's say, professional services and professional careers, we have opportunities there as well. So for people who may be interested, we post all of our jobs online. And so for those who may want to take a look at what's open now, there's a website called catalysts.basf.com.
And we have to link you to the Woodbridge site because we have a job site.
Yeah, because it's obviously mutually beneficial. We talked about the talent pool in this area being very, very important to us as a business. But I think we have some unique opportunities as a global company based locally that really has an enormous reach on many levels around the world and really plays directly into the sustainability mission that we talked about.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I find so interesting about, most business is pushed back against regulation. And at BASF, it's like your fuel. Yeah. The more regulation, the better.
Right.
I mean, sure, there's some regulations we also disagree with. But I mean, whatever makes sense in a society, you need to move it forward as a good citizen as well as a company. And you can build a decent business around that to provide those solutions.
Right. That's great. That's a great ending thought.
BASF is a huge chemical company, but the key thing is really by heart is we create the chemistry to move things forward. And the company is growing. We're on a huge mission to move things forward.
Great. That is terrific.
And this township, Woodbridge, can be part of it.
Well, thank you.
We look forward to that, to stay here and to engage everyone here and to move forward.
For many years to come.
This is great. Good. Well, let me, I need to say thank you for coming, and we look forward to having a great partnership with you going forward. So thank you for watching Greenable Woodbridge. Thank you for being part of the change and the excitement.